So good evening, everybody, and welcome to Secrets of the Obvious, episode number 24. Thanks for sending me all those questions. I have quite a few of them to get through, and I'll get through as many as I can tonight. And those that I cannot get through, I will attempt next week. First and foremost, disclaimer, I'm not a spiritual teacher. I'm no one's teacher. To me, this is purely the sharing of my knowing, the sharing of my understanding, and sharing with you, the rest of my fractured selves, the process and the clarity of transcending the false self, awakening to our true essential nature, which is the only way we can know our true self. Knowing our true self is knowing the essential nature of God. So Atman is Brahman, Christ is God. So let me get started on the questions. Again, keep them coming in. Thank you. And thank you for the questions. Thank you for your honesty. And also, many of you are really just open and vulnerable and innocent in your questions. Just keep them coming through. Okay, so this is a really good question. Lou, some teachers say that God is dreaming and we are the contents of his dream through which God expresses and experiences himself. Please, can you comment on this? So, people that say God is dreaming are really just reciting a concept they've heard before. Someone's come up with it, and it's quite a childlike, innocent comment. God is dreaming, and we're the contents of his dream. Always ask for direct experience. How would you know that God is dreaming? Are you aware of your essential nature? Are you aware of your true and absolute shared reality with God? Are you aware of what you are in complete and total clarity? And therefore, when you know what you are, you know what God is. And can you truthfully say that you know that you are the dreaming mind, or that you know that you are the pure extension of God and that God is dreaming? It's a wonderful concept. It's a wonderful idea. Try prove it. Try and prove that God is dreaming. For if God was dreaming, what would wake God up? And we get into concepts and it's always personified. So we imagine God as a being, and that being is dreaming. And we're the contents of that being's dream because we imagine ourselves as physical form or physical beings, and we dream at night. And now we make the assumption that God must be dreaming. Whenever anyone says something like that, ask for evidence, ask for proof. How can anyone claim God is dreaming when no one in form knows anything other than the contents of our own subjective reality, the objective content of our dream content? That's the closest we get to it. All we know is filtered through perception, thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions. That's all we know while we dream. If you put the collective knowledge of everyone that's ever existed throughout time in this world of ours, that knowledge amounts to absolutely nothing because it's only knowledge of a subjective reality. The great sages get to that place in space, that awareness stage where they're aware of the only thing we can truly know, which is I am. And the I am is simply the observation, the observer of the observation of our content and that which observes. Observer and observed are one and the same thing. When you go into that silent stillness and you become aware of the all-pervading awareness and the presence of something much larger than us in which we abide, then you're aware that that awareness of which you're aware of, that presence of which you're aware of, that presence has no name. We simply state I am, and then we go quiet. We may go one further and say, I am, God is. But straight after that, the God that can be named is not the eternal God. So trying to explain what God is and what God is experiencing and what God is doing is impossible. Furthermore, it leads to one other very dangerous deduction. If God was dreaming, then a part of God must be evil, because there is the appearance of evil in this subjective reality of ours. Why would God want to know himself if God is pure knowing? And how can we make a statement like we know God is pure knowing? Because when we're fully silent and we're fully still and we're aware of that all-encompassing present, that present moment awareness, we know all there is to know. And that knowing is the nature of our essential self, or the essential nature of our true self, Christ self, the joyful, peaceful silence, which is everything we've ever wanted. And when we start to understand that that joyful, peaceful silence is the self, is the extension of God, then we are aware that that pure silent stillness, that extension of the joyous beingness that travels through our awareness, is pure love, is pure everything. It's everything. And we want for nothing. There's no thought when we're in that state of pure awareness, pure being. And with enough practice and enough vigilance, you realize that that pure awareness is the background in which everything appears and disappears. Even consciousness itself, which is the substrata of the dream, appears and disappears in that which we call pure awareness, or pure being, or pure silent stillness. And don't we all absolutely love the silent stillness? If I was to say we're going to do a meditation tonight, people just get so excited. Oh, we're going to close our eyes and go into that silent stillness. And why do we love it so much when we're there? Because there's no thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions. There's no past. There's no presence. Present. There's no future. There's only presence. There's only timelessness, spaciousness, the joyful lightness of being. No thought. No thought to interrupt the pure beingness we are. So yes, some will say God is dreaming. But based on what? It's a wonderful concept. But there's just no evidence. And when you probe a little further, you start to realize how beautiful the Course in Miracles is. So even beyond the Upanishads, the Advaita Vedanta, which brings in the beautiful understanding. But unless you have the direct experience, which you will not have and you cannot sustain until all your obstacles to peace are gone. And what are obstacles to peace? Our shadow self, our unforgiven ideas about ourselves, past, future. And that present moment awareness, when silent stillness is all pervading, we are the silent stillness. We are that peaceful silent stillness. We are that all pervading essence awareness of being. What more do you want to know? Why do you want to go down that rabbit hole and inquire as if God is dreaming? If God was dreaming, we'd be pretty screwed. We'd be trapped in the dream. What would wake us up? Who would wake God up if God was dreaming? Who created God? Then you get into that crazy rabbit hole, and there's no answer to that. God is pure, unadulterated presence, present moment awareness, the silent stillness, the infinite lightness of being. And when you tap into that and recede into that and abide in that presence, you're aware that that which we call I am, the extension of God, very quickly can either remain in that awareness or very quickly step out of it into subjective reality. And subjective reality is dream content. So what is dreaming? What's more plausible than the extension of God, the Son of God is dreaming, or that God is dreaming? So if you're a Course in Miracles student, be very wary to go down the rabbit hole of other non-dual teachings unless you really dedicate the rest of your life to it. Because something like the Advaita Vedanta consists of thousands of volumes of text, some of it dualistic. And unless you get into something like the Mahavakyas, you're going to be lost in translation. The Course in Miracles is a most profound and beautiful manual for thought reversal, for awakening to self. It gives us one fundamental tool, one purpose: awaken to self through forgiving your obstacles to peace. In essence, true forgiveness is forgiving yourself for nothing, for imagining, for dreaming up something that never really happened in our true and shared absolute reality with the source of all life, which is just pure essence energy, pure undifferentiated lightness of being. I hope that gives you an answer. I hope that answer satisfies your curious mind that is searching for answers where no answers could be found. Ultimately reside or abide in silent stillness, and all answers and questions disappear. The next one. Dear Lou, if people like Jesus, and he mentions Buddha and Krishna and so forth, awoke to self, what happens to their souls after their bodies died? Did their souls return and reside in a higher plane in the spirit world? Is this where they communicate with us from? So before we continue answering that question, what is a soul? What's the difference between soul and spirit? Now we know that God is pure spirit, and spirit's another word for energy, pure beingness, pure awareness. God is spirit and abides in us. We are spirit and abide in God. So God is awareness and abides in us. We are awareness and abide in God. Or we are energy and we abide in God. And God is pure energy and extends forever and therefore abides in us too. So what is a soul? When we, the dreamer, the Son of God, fell asleep and dreamt up this elaborate dream called the universe, and then fractured ourselves into billions of thoughts and forms, spirit, we then project into form. Why? In order to negate through negation, to realize what we are through the experience of what we're not. So what is a soul? A soul is the identity of each fractured spirit. So we could say that soul, in essence, is the makeup, the identity, the story of each spirit. Within each spirit is its pure awareness, the memory of what it is. But as it's fractured into what it could possibly be. And what it could possibly be is a thought that is dreamt up, imagined by the mind that has dreamt up every single thought that is then taken form, thought in form. So what is a soul? Soul is pure identity, is the identity of spirit form. Spirit being pure energy, fractured into 9 septillion thoughts in form, fractures of one dreaming mind. So what happens to the soul, the identity of someone who awakens to self? The identity dissolves. That thought stream, which said, I am this and I am that, and I'm this and I'm that, and I have a story, and I've incarnated X amount of times, and these are my gifts and these are my tools, those stories dissolve, disappear, fade into the light of awareness. So what happens to characters like Jesus 2,000 years ago, who's awoken to self? What happens to the essence energy that was Jesus? Well, once you've awoken to self, that essence energy, which was a thought form, now aligns with the right mind. So it no longer contains any thought of separation, any perception of the separation. It now becomes pure lightness, pure awareness, pure being. But since it is a thought in the dreaming mind, what happens with it? What happens to it? It dissolves from the consciousness of the dreaming mind. The dreaming mind is no longer aware of the localization of that thought form. So first dream, spirit world. Second dream, the physical world, which we projected. So the essence energy that was someone like a Buddha, a Jesus, a Krishna, a Ramana Maharishi, or anyone that's awoken to self, then joins with the right-minded cluster in the dreaming mind. But the dreaming mind is now unaware of that essence energy because it's a thoughtless thought. It's a thought fully aligned with right-mindedness, aware of being aware, present moment awareness, the observer thought. The observer realizing that which is observed and that which observes is the content of its dream. And it is from this higher plane of pure awareness in the dream, where it's completely aligned with its right mind, it now knows it is that which dreams. And from that awakened state of awareness in the dreaming mind, it then communicates with the rest of its fractured selves, calling them to return to itself because it's dissolved into one essence energy. It's from there that it then communicates with teachers who are ready to allow the communication to come through, like a Helen Schuchman who took dictation, and hence A Course in Miracles was born. Hence why I say it wasn't Jesus that spoke the Course to Helen, it was the Christ mind that spoke the Course to Helen. Why? Because the Jesus character is now dissolved from the dream state, and the essence thereof, of that which is Jesus, is now pure right-mindedness, awake to self, fully aware. A part of itself dreams, and now it communicates with the rest of itself through symbols, through words, through vision. So where is the soul of Jesus? Gone. What is left? The pure essence, likeness of being, the pure energy, undifferentiated energy, which is right-mindedness, pure unconditional, undifferentiated love, pure awareness, communicating with the rest of us. It's all pervading, it's all around us. It is the substrata in which we abide as that which appears and disappears. When each one of us awakens to self, we join with that right-minded awareness, and from there we add our light and lightness of being to the rest of our dreaming mind. One dreamer awakens. One dreamer fell asleep and fractured into billions of beings. One dreamer awakens, one indivisible self, and continues to extend the extension it is, the extension of love. Pure awareness. Hope that clarifies it. Now, the next two questions are in the similar vein, asked slightly different, but I'll answer them, and you'll see the similarities in the answer. Lou, if certain characters or thoughts in form, like Jesus, have awoken to self and realized that our mind is dreaming, why hasn't the whole dreaming mind awoken to our absolute shared reality with God? Great question. Ultimately, there's one dreamer, and you are both the dreamer and the character. We all are both the dreamer and the character. And so until sufficient part of the mind is lit, like you've fallen asleep in a dark room, and when the light comes through the window in the morning, when there's enough light in your eyes, you eventually awaken to the morning. When enough of the mind, the dreaming mind, is lit with right-minded awareness, the characters, which are shadows in the dreaming mind, awake. What happens to shadows when there's just light? The shadows dissolve into the light. It seems like they're merging with the light, but in essence, all that's left is the light. So when sufficient amounts of the thoughts inform characters in the dreaming mind, either in the spirit world or throughout the universe as characters, inform, have reached a certain level of awakened awareness, the light streams into the dream, and there's a rapid acceleration towards full awakening and the disappearance of the universe, the awakening to self. Once the dreamer awakens, the contents of these dreams just disappear in the light of awareness. The whole universe disappears. The wonderful title of Gary Renard's book, Disappearance of the Universe. That's the end result. And so how long is it still going to take before sufficient number of thoughts and form have awoken to self? Now, there's no real answer to that, but I did ask the question many years ago when I was working as a regressional therapist, and my clients under deep regression, when I asked the question, would say when 33 and a third of the fractured parts of the dreaming mind have awoken to self, then the rapid stream awakening happens. And how long is that going to take? Well, it's irrelevant in space-time, because once you've awoken to self, you've already awoken to that absolute reality, and time no longer matters to you. So the only people that ask questions like that are those that are still trapped in duality and have a deep sense of understanding, or have a deep understanding of the non-dual, but are somehow still trapped in the duality of space-time, the continuum of space-time. And true reality is not a continuum, it's a holy instant. It's always here now. It's not length of time. And so when a 33 and a third of us awaken to self, in my understanding, and this is just an opinion, don't take my word for it, I'd say there's still another million years to go, maybe even a billion. Don't be in a hurry. Just do the work on your own, practice your forgiveness. And once you've sufficiently awoken to self and you're aware of that all pervading substrate in which we abide, which is the pure essence energy, which is God, time no longer matters. And the rest of your days in form are just about serving. And you realize the script is over, and the inevitability of awakening to self is already here. Maybe not the answer you wanted, but time's not real. So does it really matter? Okay, and there's the next question, which is very similar, asked in a slightly different way. Hi, Lou. Why does the world not change for me instantly now that I've awoken to self? Well, if you truly awoken to self, you'd know the answer. And therefore, you haven't. Ouch. Ouch, Lou, that's cruel. Well, you shouldn't ask questions of me if you want to hear the truth. If you're truly woken to self, this wouldn't matter. You'd be aware of the awareness you are. You'd be aware of the infinite lightness of being we all are. You'd be aware of the shared presence and the present moment awareness, which is eternity. You'd be aware of your essential nature and God's nature. But okay, you're processing, and that's okay. The truth is, once you've awoken to self, the whole world changes for you instantly. Why? Because you're now not looking through the filters of lost in translation perception, people, places, things, and events. You're aware of present moment awareness. You're aware of the all pervading presence, love, here now, forever, here now. And you're aware that we exist in consciousness, the dream consciousness of the dreaming mind. But that dream consciousness exists in pure awareness. And that dream consciousness is temporal. You simply had a dream. You're still in your father's home. You're still in the substrata, which is pure awareness, which is pure love, which is the infinite lightness of being. It matters not what seems to appear in space, time, and matter. It matters not when there's no space and when there's no time. It can only matter if there's space and time. When there's no space and time, nothing matters. What it remains, pure present moment awareness, pure infinite lightness of being. Now, it's already changed instantly. You fell asleep, you woke up. We fell asleep, we woke up as one indivisible self. Why does it seem like it's still playing? Because you haven't forgiven yourself. Because you still want to be special. You still want the drama. You still want excitement, but you want peace. Everybody wants adventure and peace. Everybody wants romance and peace. Everybody wants passion and peace. You can't have both. You can either have everything else or you can have peace. But once you have peace, and you can do this too, and still ride your motorcycle and smoke a cigarette and do whatever. It matters not. And you're not going to become all spiritual woo-woo and give up on everything and move to an ashram or a monastery and eat, pray, love. No, you're still you. Like the jiva is still playing out its apparent characteristics. Its qualities are still there, but the awareness is now all pervading. That's way more prevalent than anything else. Don't take my word for it, but by all means, explore. And then this next beautiful question, do you often speak of our true essential nature? What is it? I'm sure you've heard me say this before. Can you please describe it in plain English? Well, I think plain South African is about as plain English as it gets. Can like do. So Let me twist that. Let me throw a spanner in the works. Whoever's watching this, could you describe to yourself right now, what is it you want most? What is it you really want most? Now, don't get all into objectification. Try not to objectify. Try not to personalize. Let's say you want a relationship, you want a job, you want a house, you want security, you want freedom. What is it you really want behind all of that? Behind everything you think you want, people, places, things, and events. Beneath all of that, what is it that you want the most? In other words, what do you want to feel? What do you want to be aware of? Would it be fair to say, above all else, you want joyous peace? You want joyous peace. You want the security, the peace of mind, the all-pervading peace, the happiness that flows through you, the joy of being, the infinite lightness of being, the all-knowingness, the knowing of what you are, the knowing of what everything is, the knowing of self and God as one. Isn't that what you all want? Isn't that what we all want? That's what it is. That's our essential nature. Pure joyous peace, pure awareness, aware of aware, aware of awareness, aware of an all-pervading presence, aware of every breath you take, knowing that breath is itself, the breath of life. Life is it. Life is pure energy. That energy we've named God and the Tao and spirit and whatever. But that energy is just light and it's just peaceful and it's so all-encompassing. You can't doubt it. You'll never doubt it. It's more real than anything you've ever experienced. It's always there. And once you've had it, even if you've had a glimpse, you look back, you look forward to it again. You want more of it. Why do you want more of it? Because it's your true essential nature. It's returning to self. It's returning to your absolute shared self with all of it. And if it's only that, and there's nothing else but pure peace and pure awareness and pure joyous lightness of being, what else could there be but that? What else could you be but that? When you get rid of all the content of experience, all the desires that you wanted in order to have that, all the idea of scarcity and competition's gone, of not enough, of possible death, of not enough, not good enough, not loved enough, of abandonment. All of that's gone, and there's just the pure lightness of being. Even while you're in form, you start expressing it, you start extending it, you start sharing it in your own way. Nothing to give up. You don't have to act like all spiritual and all holy and speak in soft tones. And it's just being. And you realize nothing else matters. And the timelessness and the expansion of all of it. The true grandiosity of God. And littleness is gone, and story is gone, and pure awareness is all there is, and it's present. And even while you're chopping wood and fetching water and feeding the kittens, it's just always there. It's what you are. I hope that brings clarity. Don't believe me. Abide in that silent stillness and see if what I've just shared with you becomes clear to you.